Welcome to Educate with Oil with Ronette Branham. I am your hostess, and I thank you for joining me today. 1 second. Today is something we're going to talk about something that I'm dealing with. I said last week we talk about what um, I I deal with. That's how I get um, a lot of my topics. Sometimes I ask people, I do some research, see what is, what the trending topics are. Today, I'm going to talk about managing transitions with English language learners or building stronger dual language programs within our districts, within our schools, because that's what I do. And it could be tweaked, it could be revamped, but I'm here to offer biblical strategies for effective teaching because no matter what, we have to teach our students. No matter what, we have to educate our students. So just for the simple fact that we need to educate our students, um, we have to have strategies. We have to uh, get together and brainstorm and see what it is that we need because I this is a new year. Last year I was had a headache. I had a headache a lot of the time, and I had a headache for a month and a half straight, no let up, and it wasn't even an easy headache. It was something that was unbearable, but I just did it. Then I've taken Excedrin. Now I'm good. I'm not letting it get inside. I'm not internalizing it. But I work with people who have headaches now. They're like, I didn't do this before, and now they're taking. And I told one lady, one coworker, I said, take some Excedrin. That'll work, right? She's like, oh, I don't like how that makes me feel. It makes me all jittery. I said, huh. I remember that too, but I still kept taking it. Now I can take it with no problem. Just take you some Excedrin, right? You get used to the Excedrin. We shouldn't have to do that. We shouldn't have to get used to Excedrin. We should have to, work through the situation, but not have to take medication for it always. That doesn't even make sense, right? So uh, this is just something to help us make it through because we still have to educate. We still have to go to work every single day. So um, we just want to make sure that we have everything that we need to do our jobs. If you want to have smooth transitions, I'm gonna first let me talk about before I get too far. What dual language is? Dual language is where the teachers or one teacher or two teachers the district has incorporated this into our program where you teach two languages to students. Literacy, they're going to be biliterate. They're going to learn English and whatever the other language is. My district happens to be Spanish, right? Even though we have students who don't speak Spanish in these Spanish speaking classes. So I don't even understand that. Now the student is trilingual and they have to learn the Spanish and the English, not to mention they're not fluent in either because they have a whole other language. So to put those students there, I don't understand it. It's just like we have to make things work because you might get some students coming in and they speak French or something, right? They speak French, but we don't have that many French students. So you put them in a dual language and then here they are, what, right? So you're teaching two languages to the students. So maybe one day they may have the English teacher, another day they may have the Spanish or whatever the language is, or half a day, half a day. We do half a day. So in order for the Spanish speaking teacher to get all the students, you already know where that's going. The Spanish speaking teacher has to get all the students because they speak Spanish, right? In my district. So because of that, we go half a day, right? So after literacy, we switch, and then I get the other half of the students. And then some people go weekly. I remember some people were 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, or 1 week on, 1 week off. In another district that I applied for years ago, it was 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off. So you had the students were in the Spanish world for 2 weeks, and then 2 weeks later they were in the English world. So they switched teachers. So you had the students for 2 weeks out of every month. And so you teach in English, straight up English. Or if you're the Spanish or the French or whatever language it is, Creole, whatever the language is that's predominant, might be some Chinese language. I could see it happening in the couple towns over from me, that it will be Chinese, or something. I don't know, other Asian languages. So I could see a few towns from me that it could be Chinese. It's predominantly Chinese people there. So if they were to have dual language, they may do Chinese. So one teacher is strictly teaching in Chinese, but they're teaching the same thing. They're following the same. The two teachers are partners and they teach the same thing. So if I'm on lesson 5 in unit 2 in math, the other teacher is on the same thing. So when they get to me, they'll be on the same, on the same page. For me, for phonics though, because I have one group one group for 1 week, and I'm teaching phonics, I teach that lesson twice, because I teach for the whole week with this class, and then the next week I teach it with that class. So I do it like that, so they will know everything, because the other teacher in the other language is not teaching phonics. They're teaching something else. So that's just a brief overview. Now we have some experiences, we have some challenges with it. So my challenges are, and I'm saying my challenges because I've spoken to several teachers. They have the same challenges. They have the same challenges I have, and it's kind of crazy, because that way that it's not just you with this challenge, with these challenges, because we know teaching can be an isolated profession. We get in the hallway, we pass people, we say, hey, how you doing? We really don't have time to sit and talk. Sometimes we get in our professional learning communities that we can talk about things and work things through and get ideas and strategies and wisdom from other teachers. But for the most part, it's us in our classroom by ourselves. So there are some challenges. There's some great things and some challenges. So I want to say, before I go, I'm going to say there's some success stories. Where should I go, from the good to the bad, to the good to the bad? The bad to the good. I'll start with the good so you can understand. I'll mix it in there. So there's some stories where there are long-term academic improvement among these students. Like if you could, there's a school district in Dallas Independent School District, where they found that the dual language program students outperform their peers in traditional programs on standardized tests. So this happens by the time it's middle school. If they've had these classes from kindergarten up to middle school, so it's not like they just got there, they just started at second grade, fourth grade, or something like that. No, they have been in the program from kindergarten up to middle school. So they always had two teachers. They always had dual language. So because they always had dual language, you could see the progress. You could check them when they're in the middle school. You can see that they are growing, that outperforming, because when you have two languages, you're learning two cultures, you're learning your brain, the cognitive skills are much stronger than if you're just learning one language, because you remember you have to go back and forth with those languages. You're taught to think in two languages. So that is a positive, and I believe it can work, but I believe you have to have a good foundation, and it has to start with kindergarten or first grade. I believe, let's do how you want, but you see the progress once they get older. So right now I'm not in that bracket where I could see the benefits of it or the progress that's made. I can't actually see that yet, because my students are just starting. They're in the second grade. They may have only had it in the first grade. They may have never had it. They may have come new to the country. So we have all these components to it. So with all these components, you'll see the different benefits and the not so much benefit, right? So then I have another one more. Like I just said, the cognitive skills are improved. They see it in math and science. That's where we want our skills. We want to be able to think, high level thinking. And so if you have two languages, you can think in those languages, and you may have gotten something in one language that you really didn't capture in another language. And so you get there. So these are benefits. I believe that it could work. If it's working for me right now, I don't think so. But again, my students are new. A lot of my students are new to the country, and they don't have a secure foundation in their home language. And then also another one is Glendale Unified School District in California. They have a successful dual language program, including Spanish, Korean, and Armenian. These programs falter much. This is what will be the parents will love, that it's multicultural environment. So they learn different cultures as they're understanding and learning the languages. They're learning about the cultures as well. So you're not just teaching me Spanish and I'm speaking Spanish like an American. I'm not speaking Armenian like an American. I'm learning from somebody who this is their first language, and they're teaching me what it's like to be an Armenian, and how they think and how they process, how they study. All that happens. So it prepares them for the students for the world, not just, to pass a test. And a lot of times in our single language classrooms, that's what we're working on, just to pass a test. But we want to prepare our students for the world. So this is what I could love about this program. And then it has economic benefits, because these people are prepared for the world. They're prepared for greater job opportunities. The language is there. We need translations all the time. We need that kind of stuff. The job market, they get a competitive edge when they have two languages. That's just a fact. So there you have it. These success stories illustrate dual language program, how they can promote equity, academic success, cultural enrichment, proven beneficial for ELL students and native English language alike. So that doesn't mean just because I'm from the United States and I speak English that I could not be in this program. Doesn't, right? And it doesn't. It doesn't mean, you just, it's only for the Spanish speaking students so they can learn English. Only for the Chinese speaking students just so they can learn English. It's not that. Thank you, Tiffany. I appreciate that. I really do. Thanks for tuning in. It doesn't. So everybody should be benefiting. It shouldn't just be for Spanish speaking students. I'm just saying, you got all these students, and then what about the other students? They're not learning two languages too. That's the thing. Like, we had that. Oh, that's a whole other conversation. So I went way to the other side. Okay. So I want to give you some challenges that I have, because one challenge is we have overcrowded classrooms. Overcrowded classrooms because we have so many speakers of one language, but we don't have the teachers for it. I don't know if it's because we're not seeking opening up more positions. I don't know. Or is it that teachers don't want those jobs? I don't believe that. Teachers don't want to. I don't know, because I'm not in administration, but I could see where I don't see job openings for these positions. I don't see dual language or Spanish speaking teacher, or whatever what you call it, bilingual teachers. I don't see positions openings for that. Maybe I'll see one or two, but right now you need more teachers, but I don't see openings for it. Like, what's happening here? So we have a shortage of teachers. We could say we can't find the teachers, all that, but post the position, I promise you it will be filled. You can't tell me. I know there's teachers looking for jobs. I hear it all the time. How could I get a job? I'm in these teachers groups, and they're like, I'm looking for a job. I've tried all these different places. I've interviewed, and I still didn't get a position. A lot of times we have a certain amount of positions, and you already know who you're going to hire, and then you have to interview. So I'm just going on what I know, that we need more teachers. We need more openings for these teachers, because and my district, I promise you, we could have stand to open up some more positions, because my classroom is overcrowded. I cannot possibly educate these students effectively having 52 students, 51 actually, 26 and 25 in each class. I could not possibly be as effective as I could if I had 15 students in my classroom. Period. You could say, people could say what they want. That's a challenge. And then another challenge is um, it's not fair for both the English and the Spanish speakers because the resources are not balanced with the teacher load. It's just not balanced. It's not balanced when you have 26 students in a class and then you switch and get another 26. It's not a balance. So that's one issue. And then that's an issue. Another issue is managing transitions. So that's what we're talking about today, is managing transitions, right? A lot of times when you're managing transitions, okay, it's time to go to music, it's time to go to art, it's time to change from literacy to math, time to change from math to science or social studies, whatever it is. I promise you, today it was hard. I was trying to get from math to social studies because we have a project. I couldn't. It was so hard. It took me 10 minutes. Okay. Some things we have to do when we do that, we have to have visual cues. I train my students how to walk in line. When they leave me, they do it, whatever. I don't know. But I train my students how to line up. It takes them a minute. I have to keep reminding them because they forget. They start talking. And the more I say it, the more they do it. I put up a video. And it's not even for the video. We played the video, but just to line up. I'm going there. Just to line up and be quiet in line, face to front, so we could get down the hallway without disrupting every class or lining up to get to the next class. I said we have to switch teachers. So doing that, I have to flip on my YouTube, show the video of lining up. Right? Students are facing the front, their mouths are closed, and they're quiet. So we go over that. What do you have to do? They have to understand what quiet means in Espanol, that type of stuff. So I have to show that you have to show visual. You can't just say everybody line up, because they're going to be all over the place lining up. You can't just say we're going from, like I did today. I'm going from math to social studies because we have a project we have to talk about. We have to get this we have to get this on the way. I couldn't. I'm like, close your iPads. Close your iPads. Before that, I said everybody should have the iPad open doing their math quiz, right? They're like, they know they had this other paper due. They weren't finished. They couldn't get to that. They just kept on. Well, I'm not done. Well, close it. Stop it. Take it home for homework. So every student, I didn't have the visual cues. I didn't. Had I had the visual cues saying, okay, first this, then this. But if we start running out of time, you got to do the quiz because I need to know if you understood it or not. I couldn't get that. I couldn't get that far. That's like crazy. They were coming to me one-on-one, and I'm working with these groups, and I'm like, don't come here yet. They don't care. They see one person. So they're watching the cues from somebody else. They see one person coming to me with their math book or whatever, their computer. Then they think, oh, let me go. They don't know. They just know, let me follow the person. So your cues have to be visible, ready. You have to go over them, or your transitions will be horrible. So I got the best I could do right now is to line my students up quietly, walk down the hall. And it's funny because I'm pointing to people. I'm like, look at my class. Look at my class. That's so simple. It's so simple. All they're doing is walk down the hall. And people are like, yeah, they are quiet. You got it. Yes, they learned that. They mastered that. So I use visual cues to do that. And then you have to have consistent routines. So math, I'm trying to get it to this routine where we finish math at the right time and we're not going into another subject. We're not going into science or social studies. We're stopping at our time. I had that like last year. I had that down pat. This year it's a struggle because I have to be consistent with that. Time is math is over. Math's supposed to be over before 2:00. We get stuck with our transitioning and changing classes, and we're using up a lot of time. So we need more time for our math. So then we end up going too far at the other ends. I need to measure it. How long does it take us to get in after lunch? How long does it take for us to trade classes? That kind of stuff. So once you get it, and then use peer support. You have students who know the language clearly, fluently, get them to, translate, help guide the students, use your students. The students want to help. When I'm in small group, I say, don't ask me, ask such and such and such and such. Ask Lucy and Jane, whoever the kid people are. Ask them. They'll help you because I'm working with this group. And the more you interrupt me, it's harder for those students that I'm working with to understand because they already don't understand the language fluently. So using those cues, use that peer support, uh have that consistent routine. We have to. That's just, I'm struggling, but I know that's something that I have to do. That's just how it is, right? It's how it is. We could act like this is so hard, this is so much, and then we're not even being consistent with what we're trying to teach the students. I'm willing to say I'm good enough. I'm an effective enough teacher to say no. Sometimes I'm not consistent. Sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot to do this. Let's do this or whatever. So we have to get some things in. But no, you have to have certain cutoff points for math, especially. Why are you going to keep on going over the same thing when they don't get it? That kind of stuff. Literacy, you have to have your cutoff points. They have to read. They have to write. They have to do whatever they have to do in that reading block. Make sure it's consistent. They know the kids. When I'm trying to work real hard, I don't want to take a break, but my kids need a break. So this time you're going to take a break and then we're going to it. So be consistent with that. Then they'll be ready to work. Because if they're stressing like you're trying to teach them something so, great, then all they're thinking is, oh, when we're going to have a break? Oh, can I go to the bathroom? That kind of stuff. So be consistent. Just be consistent. Whatever it is that you're doing. Also, talk about I'm not there's some structural improvements in my community that we need to work on. We need to have meetings with people who are willing to listen, but at the same time we need solutions. You can't go to people without a solution. You go into your administration, you have a solution, they're like, no, this is the reason we're doing that. They're telling you like they are, like you're not an expert. Like I follow whatever they tell me to do when I'm doing it every single day. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes you need the teachers in the classroom to be the expert. And then you listen and say, oh, but that's not working. I thought this was working. Or that is working. I thought that would never work, even though I said, let's do it. That kind of stuff. So we need teachers to come in and we need to get together and go before them and say, this is what it is. This is what it could be. This is how you're stressing us out or whatever. This is what's working. This is what's not. This could be better. We're so busy focusing on one thing, but that's not even the important thing. So I have something where my students come in because they're Spanish speakers. When they come to my side, there are a lot don't even know the letters in English. And I know that's like, they're in second grade. What did they do last year? I don't know. But I do know because this is a thing, because they don't understand my language, they tune me out. So that's a challenge. They tune me out and they start talking to each other, or they ignore me, or they start drawing and playing with stuff in their desk. I have turned people's desks around. I have moved people from their desk, but because they don't understand me, they don't know. They're children. They're 6, 7, 8 years old. So they're going to do things. So we need to go to our bilingual staff, ask for the resources that we need, not just what they want to give us, or they said, in this town, this worked. In that town, this worked. At the same time, they're not in the classroom. This is not working over here because these students are not that student. That group of students, those students were started from kindergarten and up. That students, they didn't change their curriculums every single year. That kind of stuff, so we need to share stories, share examples with our districts, with our schools, with our principals, with our administration, these people who are making these rules, and say, this works. I heard this could work over here. So can we try it this way? Or this is what's working for me, because we're going to go in our classrooms. We're going to have our own strategies. We're going to find what works for us, and that's going to be comfortable for us. I found out I was getting frustrated because I'm asking the students to just follow along. Every single morning we do phonics. Just follow along. They don't want to because they already tune me out. So we got to figure out what we need to do to make this work, make this more effective for our students, make this, something better for our students so our students can benefit. They're not benefiting if they're not listening. They're not learning if they're not listening. I have students who don't. I go over the letters every single day. Every single day with the sound. Give me some words that go with that sound. They're coming up with stuff. They don't know the letter. Like, okay, let's sit together. So I get with small groups. We work on things and I explain to them why we need to learn these things. Because I want you to be able to read. I want you to be able to go to third grade, be able to read. I want you to go to third grade, be able to do math. I want to be able, your parent, when you're 10, 12, 15, whatever, depending on your town, wants to send you to the corner store, you can go over there and say what you want, and you could get your change, your right change back. You could give them the amount of money, that kind of stuff. So I teach them. I want it to be practical for them. So I use, again, the visual cues. I use consistent routines, and we're working. I mean, hey, Che, thanks for tuning in. Yeah, we have to have peer support, not only peer support from our students, the students helping each other. We need peer support from our peers, because I have, like, again, I work with the Spanish speaking teacher. They speak English, so they're able to go back and forth how they want. I know some Spanish. I used to know a whole lot of Spanish. Now I don't. I'm learning again, but I'm not able to go back and forth. I can't teach in Spanish or give directions. I can give little directions in Spanish. I could say what words are, give them vocabulary words, but it's a little different for each world. If that second language is the other teacher is fluent in, so the other teacher will be fluent in English and Spanish, English and Mandarin or Armenian, whatever we just said. So that's something that we have to do. Talk about the structural improvements. Speak with our administration. Have some advocacy steps that teachers can take within your school. What can we do? We get together, we write it down, put it in writing, say this is working. Make some videos. How about that? That's what I'm going to do. Make some videos. Make video your class in a lesson, and let the focus be something different. 1 minute you tell the people, okay, focus on the students. Turn the sound down. Focus on the students. We'll have somebody going around focusing on the student. The students, are they engaged? The teacher looks like she's engaging. She's showing videos. She's showing pictures. She's writing. She's having them write. She's letting them come up to the board, and and they having discussions. But look at the students. Look at all the students, not just the 5 who are participating, not just the 4 who are participating, but look at the overall class. It's a class learning. Are the students benefiting from this program, right? And then turn the sound up and see what kind of answers you're getting from the students. See what kind of discussion you're getting from the students. Let your administration see this. Administration come in, everybody's all good. As soon as administration come in, I promise you, the students are raising their hand. They're all excited. They're shy or they're excited, answering, looking like they know everything. And are they answering correctly? Is the conversation matching up to what the discussion should be? That kind of stuff. Give examples I'm talking about, it sounds like a whole report, but that's what we need to do in order to have backing, have somebody supporting us. Also, let me see. I don't want to go that long. It's not even that long, but at the same time, we have concerns again that need to be addressed. I really was talking about managing transition and ensuring equity for all students. So, are all the students receiving the same education? I could say maybe not. Just say I get newcomers in who just came into the country. They just came into the country, and they don't understand any English. They may not even know it's Spanish or whatever I have found students who came from a Spanish speaking country and they don't even know Spanish. They know some indigenous language from uh, a community in their country, but they don't know Spanish per se. You can't even translate to them because they don't know that language, because they're somewhere in the country maybe learning language from their parents and their parents and their parents who didn't have a good grasp on the language. And so you have that coming into the classroom. Then you have students who've been speaking English all their lives. Their parents said their home language is Spanish, but some of those kids don't even speak Spanish or whatever the language is. So you have all this. Then you have people in your classroom who are have developmental delays, who have learning delays. They may not be able to learn as fast as the other students. So is this an equitable classroom? I would say not. Students are not learning as much as they can. If you have a student who's up here learning, they got everything you say. They speak English like that, or they speak Spanish just like you. And then you have a student in this who only knows one language, who has a learning delay in either language, and you're trying to get them to follow along. They can't do it. And then this student is over here. He's like, I'm done. I got this, right? Then what do? You have to keep finding work for them because you're going so slow for these. Or you're in the middle. The people on the slow end are not learning. The people on the high end are not learning. And you only have a group of small amount of students who are grasping the concepts that you're teaching. Is it equitable? I would say not. I would say just because they speak that one language, that doesn't mean they all go into the same classroom. I would say that because I'm struggling with it, So there's a lot that's happening in these dual language programs that needs to be revamped. Just like if it was a single language program, you won't have all those kids in the same class. You may have them, but then you start finding who needs help and who doesn't. But when you have English language learners, they say, oh, they just came here, so give them 2 years. No, I know because I'm teaching them that they need help right now. So that's a struggle. But then again, I say overall, if you do it right, I believe there's smaller classrooms will make it work. I believe that you find the students' levels that they're working on. You assess the students for their needs. And if you have lower level groups, you differentiate with those students. You have small group, but then sometimes they need to be in another class because they don't even comprehend what you're saying. For instance, I had a child who we could transition into anything. You didn't need, if I had a picture or I don't have a picture. You see, every student is getting up, going to the rug, and this child would just sit there. She did that in the Spanish or the English class. It didn't matter. She wasn't ready. She was not ready. She's just not ready. So there should be another placement for students who can't get up and grasp like what's happening in the classroom. That's something that needs to be addressed. So there's so many components to this dual language. Maybe it should have just been talking about transitioning. Like, again, follow a routine. Use visual cues because the students will get it better. You just show them pictures. Is this what we look like? Is this what's happening in this classroom? This is what's happening now. Everybody follow this. Take a picture of everything. Picture of the math book. Put it up there. Show it. This is what's happening right now. Have it in order on a board. Okay, first this, then this, then that. And then at this time, then we're done with this. That kind of stuff is going to help. So I promise you tomorrow when I get there, the stuff that I'm saying that I'm not doing to the letter, you're going to see it happening. I do know I need visual cues, and that's what I use. We're learning vocabulary. We had the word saw. The kids understood saw, like I saw something. And then I showed them a picture of a saw. They were like, oh, saw. They didn't realize that that's the same word. And then there's words that I gave them for vocabulary. I'm trying to think of one. They kept saying it wrong. No, the word no, N-O. That's our word. They all knew it said no. They said because of their language, they say, I know like chicken, right? Oh, but no, it is. I don't like chicken, but because the way you say it in Spanish, I know like chicken, no me gusta, or however you say it, right? That means no, I don't want it, I don't like it. But when you come over to the English language, that's not how we say it. So I had to find words, sentences with the word no in it. It's like more so a answer to a question. They're making it like a statement. I know like this, I know like that. And four students in a row said the same exact thing. And so I had to use visual cues of what no meant. And we like shaking our head, but we had to make the sentence make sense, because we're talking about making sentences make sense, making sure the sentence has a subject and a predicate, and then it has to flow. So that was tough today with that. So that's something we have to repeat. So that's where that repetition comes in. And I don't know if I said repetition, but I said that consistent routine. That repetition is part of that consistent routine. So again, these are just little things that I'm finding in the dual language, which is a lot. I say a lot. It's a lot. At the same time, it's doable. But I think one thing for sure is you need smaller classrooms, because we have too many students that we cannot service all of those students. You can say they're in your class, you have to teach them all you want. I promise you, there are some sitting that I don't know what they can do. I promise you that. Or there's some sitting that I know they need so much more than I can give them, and I don't have the time, because I have 26 students in this class that I switch at 11, at 12, and then I have 25 in that class. That's a lot. So there are things like that, smaller classrooms, more advocacy for our teachers from our teachers. We could say we told them all we want, but we have to come together and say this is what it is, and let's see, come to a round table, let's make it work. I heard there was a community, that we talk about what's working, what's not working, and coming together and putting our heads together. I know that there are things like reading books and things like that that we need at their levels when they're coming in below grade level, and we have to make that work. So there's a lot of that. Advocacy is something that we need to do. We need to get together with our peers. We're talking about peer support with the students. We need peer support among ourselves, and we can't get together and say something so simple that's working. Yeah, that's working, but overall, is this thing working? Or overall, can that work in my classroom? Show me how to do this in my classroom. We're not, I don't know, in our professional development, in our learning communities, are we doing that? Are we helping each other to that extent? We help each other, we talk to each other, but are we doing that? I can talk to 5 teachers and we're all doing something different. And I'm not talking about what we're teaching. I'm talking about our routines that we're implementing every single day. And so that's something that needs to be ironed out. Again, I'll go back to, let me just end you with some success stories again. Because some people say they had success, but I believe they started in kindergarten. I believe they have that academic rigor where they're teaching the students what consistency, they're teaching the students what one curriculum that's working, and it is working for everyone, not just one group of students. It comes in both languages and you don't have to translate it, that kind of stuff. But I believe this will work for students. Like I always told my parents who spoke Spanish, always speak Spanish to your children, right? Always speak Spanish to your children. This because it's the language that I taught, right? Speak Spanish. They're gonna learn English in school. Always speak Spanish. When they get older, they're gonna need both languages. You already know when you go someplace and you only speak Spanish, people have to find somebody to translate. So that is this economic opportunity with learning 2 languages. I'll leave you with that. So let's make it work. Again, I am Ronette Branham with Educators with Oil, here to offer biblical strategies for effective teaching. So I'll give you a biblical strategy. The Bible says, raise up a child in the way he will go. When he's old, he will not depart. Meaning, in my head, teach them how to learn, and they will always be lifelong learners. Period. Again, thank you. And for tuning in, remember to like, share, and subscribe. When I say share, share with another teacher. Share with somebody who you know is a teacher, who's an educator, who's ready to move on with new strategies, find new strategies. They're looking for a community. I am here. Also, I have a community on Facebook, a Facebook community. It is called Ronette Brand, Empowered Educators with Ronette Branham. So tune in, log into that, join that community. So again, I thank you. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you. I appreciate you all. Have a blessed day. Thank you.